Sorry about that. I'm not going to edit these videos at first, just because I'm just trying to get used to talking to a camera and hopefully get my journey off the ground. Because this is I'm basically doing a thing. I'm restarting my life right now, doing a whole kind of upheaval and shift change in my life. I'm going to yeah, I'm doing a whole lot right now, but I kind of was getting off target with the the story. Not that was not intentional, but the fact that it was about a dart hitting the wrong spot is pretty funny. Um, but I was saying is, I tend to learn by watching what not to do. I'm more the quiet, kind of sit in the back, kind of observe kind of guy. I like watching shows. I like to read. I like to play video games. I like to do things that, as far as like stories go, I love stories. And then also when it comes to like skills, I like to teach myself. So like I learned I like to make things lately as far as like electronics and I like the like Halloween style costumes. I'm not sure about cosplay yet, but I like the idea. Like I made some ghost face masks, or like modified some ghost face masks to be a bit more personalized. I'll show you all those soon. But that was like a part of a whole elaborate Halloween costume I did for a spirit week at one of my it was like a week of Halloween related stuff at my last job. But when it comes to this, what I was saying is learning by doing. When it comes to like tinkering, I learn by doing. So I like to make costumes, or I made some props for my costumes, things like that. And so I love watching people who also learn by doing. So like Adam Savage for Tested, like Mythbusters and all that was a huge inspiration growing up. I became more of a writer over time, as far as like I like to tinker with ideas more than I was a tinkerer with my hands. And I'm trying to get back into doing like more art, like drawing and doing like graphic design, stuff like that. Eventually maybe get into programming again. Part of my job in the Air Force was working with computers, but it was a thing where I learned a lot in the Air Force, and I learned a lot in school, and I didn't finish my degree, but I learned a lot in school in general. I love learning. But unfortunately, I learned when I went to this summer camp when I was 17 called Super Camp. Great program, helps people to as far as I remember, helps people to get into schools, and also helps them to learn like how they learn for when they go to school. Like because this is a program for going from like high school education or a little bit younger to college age. So it was like college prep stuff, and it was a thing where they had like all the counselors were volunteers who were college students who were doing this on their break from school, and the kids that were taking part, that I was part of the group that was just this big, like as like a few hundred kids all learning about how they learn, about just how to think and organize and how to study. Like it was just a college prep summer camp thing, and it was, I think they had like scholarship programs that were like, they had counselors that could help you get in touch with schools, and also programs with helping with learning what your skill sets leaned towards and what you might enjoy. And as part of that, I learned that so they would talk about what type of learning you were kind of learning you were focused on. So for me, it was KVA, or kinesthetic visual auditory. And I'm a kinesthetic first learner, and I mean that by a huge margin. And I've always been that way. If I can, when I read, it feels kinesthetic for me, as long as it's a story. or if I can turn it into a story, then I can learn from it. It's because I'm pretty literal when it comes to stories. I like to imagine like a suspension of disbelief. Like I like to imagine myself in that world, and so when I read, I am learning by being that character. And so I will stop reading a book if the if I feel like the story is one where I'm the main character and the main character does something that I find from, so basically you have to see from their perspective a terrible act. I don't like to imagine myself doing terrible things. And so when I'm reading like I would hate, like it's my brain imagines being that character. I would not do that. So I stopped reading the book. Or like one of my worst fears is, as far as like like a nightmare I've had as a kid was, or like different like movies that have freaked me out growing up were related to like possession or mind control. And so it's like, oh, that would be terrifying. Like that is one of my, that would be, I know it's a more of like a fantastical fear, but as far as like those goes, that is the scariest of them all, for me at least. And so in a book where the main character is being mentally controlled to do terrible things, I can't read that, because it's like a phobia, like in a weird way. Like the idea of being like, the show Severance is so interesting to me, because it's a weird type of like brainwashing thing where I haven't watched the show yet, so I this is only from trailers, and I'm trying not to spoil it for myself or anybody else, but it looks like they're being mind wiped, and then they're basically two separate people, one who knows and half of the life, and the other one knows the other half of the life. And it's just like, it's how I felt when I was in the Air Force, to be honest. Well, as far as, yeah, when I was actively involved with Air Force people, it was like one life, and then when I was around my civilian family and friends, it was like a different life. So it was a different kind of severance, but it was similar. Talking a lot, and I'm so I was talking about my superpowers. I can just talk forever, obviously. But when it comes to, you know, learn by doing, that's just how I'm a kinesthetic learner. And so if I see somebody do something, it shows me an option for that. So I learn by watching, I learn by listening, and I learn by basically imagining myself doing that thing. So I grew up always in my own head. I was basically like tinkering with ideas. I told my mom one time that I said this multiple times growing up, like little kid to like teenager. I was like, I would say I'm rewiring my brain. I'm like, there's a period I was very, very much a shy, like introvert kid. Like I'm still more like, I tend to consider myself an ambivert now, but for a long time I was very much an introvert all the way to being a full loner. I enjoy my alone time, but I no longer need to always be alone. Like it is no longer my default choice now. It's my default choice in the sense that I'm gonna be traveling alone for a bit, but I enjoy that. But if I make friends along the way and I stop off at some spot, that's perfectly awesome. Like I love that. And if eventually somebody wants to join me on my travels, or if you want to like caravan with a group of people, then that's awesome. I would love to expand my group as I go. But the point of that was that I was always a loner. I was always the sit back and watch kind of person. So I never caused problems. I was always the kind, quiet kid. I was always super respectful or super I always felt invisible. I told a friend recently, and it was like I always felt invisible, and that was what I thought was my superpower for a long time. And then turns out I just wasn't seeing myself more accurately. I was invisible to myself, and this is not like a sad story thing. I'm not like upset. This is just me unloading and like becoming honest about who I am. And then y'all are along for the ride as I go for this, and it's important that I have people along the ride with me, because this is not about just me. There's a whole journey of me being me, going back to being a nomad and really living how I've wanted to for a long time, and what that entails, like meeting people along the way, really kind of getting out of my comfort zone of being living according to other people's whims. With the military, I literally didn't have a choice that was up to them. Or with I grew up with just my mom and my brother. We would be living in town for a few months to a year or so, and she would get, I don't remember the circumstances every time, but she'd basically be like, all right, we're moving. And we'd be like, okay, we're moving. And it was always an adventure. And I don't know if my brother misses it, but I know I do. And I can understand why he's on a whole different journey, and I'm so happy for him. He's doing really great lately. And this is about telling my story, so that's not my business. So I'll talk about things that happened to me, or things that I've done, or things that, because like most of the time I see people talking to other people or about other people on YouTube, and I'm not trying to be self-centered. It's just I don't know other people. I've always been a loner, but at the same time I know other people in a way that is unique because of my existence, and I want to show people that these things need to be talked about, or at least just tell people who I am. And I have this perspective of being an autistic veteran to start with. That is where I'm coming from. This is like my starting point. Is you see who I am. I've already kind of told you about what my goal is. I'm going to become more nomadic, and I'm going to head towards DC. That's on my social media. I've only got Blue Sky, Instagram right now, and then now YouTube. I'm planning to do this pretty raw, pretty uncut, pretty honest and direct. I don't know how to do it any other way. And like I said, I'm going to do things my way, and I'm going to learn by doing. So I'm also going to take advice. I'm trying to get better about that part. That's the thing I've learned lately, is that you can learn by doing, but also seek advice. And I want to be better about that. And also, I want to verify myself. I feel like my theory is that if I follow my own instinct, my own intuition, and my own brain, the way I've learned to be, then my theory is that things will go great. I want to test that theory, and so sure, I'll see if there's any like major recommendations about, like, if there's a format that is just better on YouTube or social media in general. If there's a way that I can interact better with a community and also help me do what I want to do, and to hopefully use my voice to make a difference. I want to do it my way, but my way isn't just my way. I learned from a mom who raised me basically by herself. She had help when it was like, it wasn't always a sure thing. We didn't always have help. We only could rely on each other for huge swaths of our lives. And there are things that only the three of us can identify as we are. And then we've had people come into our lives, and like now I've got awesome, my sister-in-law is awesome. We have been doing great. Like, like they're really thriving in their life, and I'm really happy that they're enjoying their journey, which again is not my business, so I won't talk about them like that. But I'm gonna say that they're awesome, and my brother has he's my younger brother. I'll tell you that he's awesome. He has taught me more than he knows, and I've tried to express that to him. Sometimes I'm not the best at communicating. I'm trying to get better at that. This is part of that as well. And so I am a autistic veteran. The veteran part I've kind of already gone into, and the autistic part, as a few people on here have said, when you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. So it's like, okay, cool. What does that mean? Well, how about this? I'll tell you what that means for me, and maybe you'll see similarities, and maybe you'll see, oh, cool. That's not how I experience the world. And then you're like, oh, they're both true. That person does, I don't. They're both valid. Dope. That's all that matters. Like, being able to empathize and understand that we're all exactly unique, and we're all very similar in a lot of ways, but no two people are identical, not even twins. And so it's a thing where it's obviously, I'm stating the obvious, but it's, so my story is in a lot of ways very normal, very mundane, maybe even boring to some people. Okay, but at the same time, maybe it'll be inspiring. And I'm not just going to be telling my story in the sense that of my life. I'm a storyteller. A lot of this stuff is just going to be me telling stories to the camera. My goal is to get better at telling stories. I've always had stories in my head, and I've tried to like tell family and friends, and I kind of can get long-winded, as you'll see soon. You're probably already discovering I can get long-winded. I'm literally in a car by myself talking to a camera, so I can talk to anybody about anything, or nobody about everything. And I am learning that with the things I've done in my life, the fact that I didn't realize I was autistic until I was already 30 or later, and that I did all of those things, and my experiences were different, and I did feel I like the odd person out in every situation, or most situations. And then when I look back, the people who I really vibed with in various situations, why I was able to, like, what parts of myself I really enjoy parts of what people say is autism or neurodivergence, and my brain works uniquely, and I know everybody does, but mine works in a way that I am trying to get better at describing. And maybe as I get better at this and discover this stuff about myself, because like I said, I learn by doing, and right now talking is doing for me. Like when I'm speaking to somebody about something I care about, I am learning about it as we go, because they'll know things I don't, almost definitely, about everything. And that's a thing I love, is that everybody knows something you don't. And so to learn is to be, but also to be amongst people. And so this is me trying to do that in my own way. I'm going to expand my horizons both digitally and physically. And so I'm going to be me here and here as much as I can be going forward. And as part of that, I'm a storyteller. But my goal is to become a writer. I want to write books. I want to create art, but I want to do it with words at first. But at the moment, I'm what I'm good at and what I can do right now is this: talk to a camera, talk forever if I need to, and hopefully I can do it in a way that's engaging and thoughtful, and in a way that also doesn't make people to feel talked down to, doesn't make people feel like frustrated or overly is like preachy or political. Like, I will talk about those things. I'm going to be open about myself. I'm going to discuss things. This is going to be, I guess, the term a vlog. I don't know if it's called a digital diary or a YouTube journal, or I don't know what this is called. But it'll be all kinds of things. When I decide to stop somewhere and tinker with a project, I'll probably film that. When I decide to park and have a setup where I can play a video game with what I'm bringing with me, then I'll probably do that too. But it'll always be me talking to the camera or talking to you in some form or fashion. And eventually it'll be me writing to you. So I'm practicing that both by speaking and getting used to telling a story, getting used to my own voice, both literally and figuratively, and then also learn about how to type and write a story, because they're very different things. There's a whole thing about show don't tell, but how do you do that in your own way? What's your voice? Like, how do you write that is unique? And so this will be me kind of practicing that live and on camera, or in real time on social media. And then as projects I tinker with come out, I'll discuss them with y'all. They're all gonna be something like this to start with. It's gonna be right now. It's just gonna be this YouTube, a little bit of blue sky stuff, maybe Instagram, but I'm gonna just talk, and they'll be however long that thing is. I'll probably release these two as separate videos because they're already separate videos. The first one is around 30 or so minutes, I think. I don't know. Doesn't really matter, right? But they're gonna be roughly, they'll be the right length. Whatever length that video winds up being, they'll be that length. I'll kind of, maybe if it gets like rambly at the end, I might cut the little chunk off, but that's it. It'll be pretty unedited. And then as we go, as y'all get to know me and I get to learn what people enjoy from me, I will find that middle ground where it's like, I'm not going to stop doing things I enjoy, because what's the point? But I'll do it in a way that's honest, I'll do it in a way that's thoughtful, and I'll do it in a way that is engaging, hopefully. So far it's just going to be this, talking to a camera, probably every time that I can. I'll be hitting the road soon. Like I said, I'm in Vegas right now, but in the next few days I'm not going to be. This is the car I'm driving right now. I only just decided to name her because unfortunately I'm having to get rid of her. That's unfortunately just a truth I'm having to accept. Well, just named her, which is kind of sad because having to get rid of her, but her name is Bluey. My nephews are huge fans of Bluey, and who doesn't love, all babies and toddlers love Bluey. That's just so far a fact. And so yeah, blue car, Bluey, on the nose, I know, but I've never been the guy who, I like naming things, so it's like I'll tinker with names as I go. I like giving people nicknames, and so I've named every car I've owned and my motorcycle. All have been named, all with various levels of silly involved. My first car was a red Jeep Cherokee Sport, 4-door. Loved that car. Drove it until I couldn't anymore, and it was her name was Harpo, because I thought it was funny that I didn't realize that Oprah was Harpo backwards, and so I I don't know. I just liked that word. It seemed nice, and she gives people cars, so that was kind of funny. That's it. My second car was a Hyundai Veloster. Weird car. Like, love the little 3-door hatchback thing. Honestly, one of my future cars will probably be a Veloster. I love that car, especially the N models. I would love to get a Hyundai Veloster N at some point. But her name was Jordan because I was young. I was a little young when I had her. I was like 22, 23, something like that. And there was a time I was driving through Vegas a little bit faster than I meant to, and I remember I was like, there's a little dip, and it kind of went like, oh, I was like, oh, tire left the ground for a second. I'm like, I slowed down. I was like, let's not do that. It was scary. I was young, and I regret that. But I drive pretty much like the most reasonable person in the world now. I don't let this stuff bother me anymore. I learned to ride a motorcycle in Vegas. I learned to be a good driver in Vegas, which is you have to learn by what not to do in Vegas, not by, you don't get very many good examples here. So this is a great place to learn to drive, sadly enough. If you want to be good, at least. If you're trying to be a good driver, this is a great place to learn what not to do. And so yeah, it was Harpo, then Jordan, and then my third car, a Scion XD that I drove until it died. I think, what did I name that car? I don't know. I don't think I feel bad, but I don't think I named that car. That car helped me a lot. That was the car with no name, I guess. But little blue Scion XD, well, blue and black. I got it when I first got it. The body panels, some of the body panels weren't clipped in properly, so like the clips were broken, and so I just had to tape it. I just left it taped with like black Gorilla Tape for the entire time I owned it. That car was great. I put a hitch on that car. That car should not have had. I mean, it was safe. It was hooked up and installed by U-Haul, so I know it's safe. But that car was not the fan of having a hitch. It was. I had towed my motorcycle on it, and that car was not a fan of that. It happened. I got all the way from Texas to Vegas with it towing a motorcycle, so it's like that's pretty good. If you've done that drive, you know that's pretty good. I drove all up the coast with that car. It was, yeah, that was. I put a lot of miles on that car. That car got beat up by me, and it died on the side of the road one day. And I basically sold it for scrap. That's it. But I got all it could do out of it. It was I did what I could with that car, but it was struggling from day one. I've had a motorcycle since 2015. Found a friend who I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, they're gonna take care of her. I'm rehoming her, as it were, because her name's Wisteria because she's got she's an FZ07 2015 with blue, kind of like black, not the bluish purplish wheels. There's that one model you'll see pictures of online. I have a friend who's gonna be buying her from me, Wisteria. I've got some custom Converse with her name on them. I'm a sentimental guy, you'll see. I'm not a hoarder. I get things. I'll do like the occasional purge or stuff just to go back down to minimal. I've done it so many times in my life; it's just normal now. It's like spring cleaning for my family. We'll collect stuff. Like, well, at least my mom. Well, yeah, we'll all do it. My mom, brother, and I will like collect stuff. I think my brother does the least, but he'll collect mostly books. At least lately. We'll each collect things and I think probably I'm the worst as far as collecting things. I'm the most hoarderish, but what I do is I get a bunch of really cool stuff. I try not to spend money on a lot of stuff. I'm pretty I'm not a money guy. I'll if I have as much as I need to make ends meet and I can travel, I'm gonna be happy. Um, and so we do this like it's like spring cleaning for us. It's just we kind of take what we've got, pare it down to what we need, keep a little sentimental stuff, sell what we can, donate the rest, and then get going. We've done it. I tell people it's kind of rough math, but I think before I joined the Air Force, these are like pretty decent sized moves. So like not just like these are like home moves, like decent sized home moves. But really, it's anytime we move from school to school. No, I guess it's home to home. But it was mostly, yeah, it's probably like before I joined the Air Force, we moved 20 to 23 times. It's been a while since I've done the math. Maybe I'll recheck that soon. I'll confirm and double check with y'all, or like reconfirm with y'all. I'm the type that I was taught by the military that don't say I believe in a situation like data oriented. You say based on my assessment. That's a better way of saying it, because belief has nothing, like facts are facts, so you have to assess the facts. And so you're like, okay, we know what is, and then based on the facts what things could be, these are the most likely options of what are going to happen. That's how we would do things. Okay, cool, what's our course of action? But I got on a tangent again. I know that's going to be a thing with me. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, so we'll just keep going. I'll find it again when I'm done rambling. Alright, so I kind of lost track of where I was going with that. Basically what I was going to say is, so yeah, like I said, I'm not editing much of this. I'll just kind of pause things when I lose my train of thought. And then I'll just pick up where I left off. So this will be pretty like straightforward. There won't be much to overthink. I'm just gonna say what I mean. I'll do my best not to be inappropriate or as far as like I do curse, so that'll be a thing that happens as I get more comfortable being on camera. And depending on, I'll find a balance where it's me. I won't ever stop being me, but I've learned I can adapt to levels of comfort. So basically, it'll be appropriate to the story. If I'm telling a story that it's like I'm not gonna not talk about stuff. I will maybe put in the description when a conversation gets maybe politically related or religiously related, or for me, I consider myself more spiritual than religious, but that's again, we'll unpack that as we go. I'm just trying to be me, and hopefully by being me, I can let people see that I see them, and maybe they can see that somebody who I can see somebody else who has had that experience, and maybe it'll help some people more because I look like them. Maybe it'll help other people more because they look different than me. Maybe it won't matter. Like I want to talk to everybody. I've got my found family and my kind of given family, as it were. So my found family, they were and are my best friends, but now they've all crossed a point where they're my best friends, and so they're found family, and so Vegas is home in that regard. I won't talk about anything. It'll only be about my stuff. I'll tell stories and I'll say my friend this, my friend that, but it'll all be like that. I'll keep people's information out of them. I'm good. I'm good at that stuff. I can tell a story and keep it about the topic and keep it. I can self-edit, or not self-edit, but like keep it friendly and tasteful, and also be honest. It's one thing I like to tell people is I don't like to lie. I can't say I don't lie because I'm sure I've lied, um, but I intend for everything I say to not be a lie. So I will always not lie, given as much room as I can. If it's about somebody else and it's not my business, I might have to lie for somebody. Like if I'm like I don't know where somebody is and I know that person is not doesn't have good intentions for somebody, I'll lie. But that's my extent. Like I don't like to lie, but I'll protect people. And so if it's not going to break a law, but I don't like to lie. So this my whole thing is I will always be telling the truth, unless it would hurt somebody, and or break a law. Like I'm not gonna tell a lie. I'm not gonna ever. If I might not tell a story if it's not my business. I'm not gonna snitch on people. People are I love people. That's just, yeah. I'll respect people. It's I've heard it as a phrase I saw recently, as respect existence. Like it's just the idea of being respectful to other people and their life. The things that aren't their choices, like the way that where they were born is not their choice, but what they do with that is. How they were born can be, a factor, but also how, what you choose to do with that is a factor. And it's awesome. I love people. And so eventually I'd love to have people talk to me. I don't feel lonely doing this, so I can do this forever. If people are watching, that's awesome. I'd hope that people are watching this. That'd be kind of unfortunate if I'm just doing this and nobody's listening. But I want to tell stories. I want to get to a point where I'm writing stories. I'm inspired by so many people lately that I want to do my thing, but I also want to do it in a way that helps people. And I want to do it in a way that's like funny and fun and direct, and also open and honest about stuff. I will talk about politics at some point. I definitely will talk about religion or spirituality or that kind of thing at points. I will talk about this is a different kind of thing, but I'll talk about nerd stuff all the time. I am a nerd. That is something that will become clear. And y'all you'll get to know that part of me for sure as time goes on. Because one of my major projects I'm working on is very much a nerd thing, and it's a thing that I'm hoping will become engaging and interesting from my perspective because of how I tell stories. Hopefully, you'll want to listen to me talk and maybe hear my voice in a way that isn't just talking to a camera, but actually my voice in a game or in a book form. I would love to make something that is physically able to be held, whether that be like an art piece, an installation, a physical media thing like a shirt. I would love to have some funny ideas for shirts that, depending on the level of like what type of thing I'm talking about, like nerd stuff or otherwise, how I would have funny ideas for those. So like maybe I'll do something like that. But honestly, I'm trying to go to DC. I'm trying to make an adventure to DC, and I'll kind of unpack that as I go. I want to be a storyteller, and I want to hear people enjoy my stories. That's basically it. If I can say something that somebody hears and it makes their life better, that's awesome. That would be ideal. If somebody can tell me, even if that's it, even if all I get out of this is somebody said I enjoyed that made my day better, then at least I helped in some way. But if eventually I can get to a point where I'm directly helping in more grandiose, big picture ways, that would be insane. Because you'll see, I'm comfortable with a pretty minimalist life. I wouldn't mind eventually getting having a van, like a camper van style thing, or an RV of some kind, or those people who I've been watching more about, like the schooly community, people who convert school buses, all that hippie stuff. It's all I'm just kidding, like travel stuff. I like to joke about the whole hippie thing because of how I look, and I'll unpack that. Like I said, I'm more spiritual, so you'll see that that's definitely like I'm a storyteller, and so I enjoy stories, and so I like to learn about other people's perspectives and their cultures and religions and practices, and do it in a way that's respectful but also honest, and also a conversation. I would love to talk to anybody about anything. I will be honest about my perspectives on things and how I feel people should be treated. I want people to be treated with fairness and kindness. I want people to be loved for who they are. Yeah, who they are. If that means they are a private person, and we just respect that. If they are an open person, we respect that. And as long as their choices aren't hurting anybody else, let's respect that. But that's again, I'll dabble into my beliefs and my opinions and all that stuff as we go. But I'm just a guy who is passionate about a lot of stuff. I once told a friend, I've learned to love everything, and so not everything about everything. No, I love where love can be found in things. I'm a sappy guy. I'm sentimental. I've named every vehicle I've owned. This one's Bluey. My motorcycle's Wisteria. My Veloster was Harpo. No, was Jordan, and my Jeep was Harpo. And I've loved every car. I love to drive. I love to travel. My mom always would just decide we're ready to go, and we would go, and I loved it. That's where I was going. I got off on a tangent again, but that's who I am. I'm not gonna edit this stuff too much. Like I said, I might kind of chop it off when I start to wind off into the woods and they can't tell what I'm saying. But as long as I feel coherent, as far as haven't dehydrated while talking, then yeah, I'll just keep going. I can talk forever. My plan is to do it in a safe way. I'm going to be selling this car, selling Bluey. I'm going to be getting a different car that I can get as close to paying off as possible. And I'm going to take everything I have in my life, fit it into that car, and hit the road. I'm heading to DC, and I will discuss more about why I'm heading to DC soon. I want to have a whole thing dedicated to that. That way I can split that up and I can really get into it. And I want people to watch this stuff and not get exhausted every time. So I will try to avoid the more stressful topics for as much as possible. In this sense, I will always be direct and honest about my perspectives, and I will speak up every time. But as far as not every video will be about that, I'll probably be posting a lot just because I'm showing this I can talk forever. So it'll be probably a lot of 45-minute videos, sometimes an hour, sometimes more, sometimes only 30 minutes, but probably not much shorter than that. Probably 30 minutes up will be the video lengths. And I will pause things when I start to lose track of my thoughts, or when I am, distracted or have to, go inside a store real quick. But basically, I'm going to be on the road going from here to DC. I might stop off in places that I'm familiar with. I might do a different route than I've done before. I'm not sure. I will not film anybody else until, I feel comfortable and they feel comfortable, and, it'll all be a discussed thing. But it'll all be something like this. It probably won't be where I'm looking too often unless it's not private. Like if it's a wilderness thing, or if I'm like driving and it's open road, I might flip perspective and show forward. But really, it's probably gonna be this. Um, Mostly because this is supposed to be me telling a story, and I feel like being a traveling bard in that type of way where I'm doing the traveling bard thing, almost like how modern stand-up is kind of that nowadays. It's just a traveling bard, but like reimagined. I want to do that, but also do it my way. I want to be a storyteller who just talks to a camera, tells my perspective, visits places I find important, meet people who want to have their voice be heard, and also represent people who I care about, and also stand up for those who don't want me to who don't want to represent them but want me to stand next to them. Like, I'm an ally, I'm a representative, I'm a friend, I'm family to a lot of people who of all walks of life, and so that is who I am. I want to make myself open and honest about that. This is all about who I am, and I'm hoping that by being who I am and telling you who I am, this can help you and help me as well. Obviously, I think it's important to be honest that not everything I do is selfless. I'm doing things for me as well. I'm a human. I'm a regular, like I'm a weird guy. My brain works weird ways, and when I tell people stories from my perspective, they're like, "Wow, you think very differently." And so it's like, cool. If that's the case, maybe people will enjoy hearing it, and at least it'll be me. This will be me journaling, and then when I get better and more comfortable with telling a story in the written format, maybe I'll do like a blog, and then maybe I'll do a podcast, or maybe I don't know. As things go, we'll see how things go naturally. Whatever feels right for me, and then whatever it seems to vibe with y'all, and we'll find that thing where I'm always doing something I love, and you are hopefully always doing something you love. So, and maybe I can inspire that. Maybe it could just be, maybe it's like a conversation where I can hear from y'all's perspective, and then maybe eventually people can come on here with me, and I can meet people on my travels and have them speak too. But, or at least show show them my perspective, or show their perspective to the world, however they want to, however it works out. I'm not overly planning this. This is all going to be pretty off the cuff. Hopefully pretty genuine. I want to be as open and honest and direct as I can be about myself. But as far as other people are concerned, I'm going to respect their privacy. I'm not a social media guy, really. You'll notice that my social media basically started for real like 2 days ago. I have been off of social media in general, except for as an observer, for the last 10 years. I've done, the most interaction I've done with social media is posting one time, I believe, on one of the like Blender 3D subreddits, and it was just me posting a donut I made. That's basically it. I mean, yeah, I'm a pretty open guy. I just I want people's privacy to be respected, and so I'll be traveling, so I'll be on the open road. I will be pretty, like, I'll be like, passing through it if I meet people on the way that I hit it off with, and maybe I'll build I'll have like little like rest stops along the way who I can like have communities with. So I like the idea of having friends around the country and eventually around the world. So maybe as people start to like the idea of what I'm saying, I can meet people on the way who are kind of like-minded, and we can share ideas. And I love the idea of doing more art, and so maybe that's a thing we could people would eventually want to do. But until then, it's just gonna be me, as direct and honest as I can be. And that's really just to the extent of what I feel comfortable sharing as far as privacy is concerned. And also what you would find interesting. I'll try to make this as fun and engaging as possible. But as I said, I'm new at this. I'll make mistakes. I'm probably making mistakes right now. But in a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, maybe I'll figure out some things that really feel like me, and I'll kind of adjust as we go. And then I'll take your feedback. If there's something that you're like, please stop doing that. Like, that is the worst thing anybody in the world has ever done. Please stop. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm learning, and so I'll do my best to always be respectful. I will also do my best to always be kind and honest. And so, let me know. I have so many people in my life that I've learned so many different things that are, and they're from people who are like, who grew up in, it's so crazy how one small thing feels like it can be the difference between like a huge kaleidoscope of differences between people. And then how just because all those things are different, we also have all these weird kind of coincidences between life, like where you're like, oh wow, you've been through that thing, I've been through that thing. We grew up in, we like people who can grow up in different countries can have the same experience, and even if they've never thought the same language before, they can have they can both do something silly and never have, and they can basically share a look. If in that moment they both could see each other, they could share a look and say, I know, right? And that's a universal thing. Like, languages and borders and all this are beautiful in their own right, but also we're all people, human beings who are doing their best, and some people are doing their best to do mean things, and some people are doing their best to do nice things, and that's what we got. That's it. But at the same time, I think most people, no, everybody is the main character of their own story, so they're doing things from the perspective of them being the main character. Hopefully that's what they should be doing, is like, oh, I'm the main character of my story. Yeah, you're the main character. And for me, the main character is a storyteller, so it'll eventually be me telling like actual off the cuff kind of improv stories that I've had like the plot line, or like the premise in my head for years, but I've never actually explored the story. So those will be things I'll basically do here. It'll be like an off the cuff story, like almost like a D&D podcast, but where instead of I'm rolling dice, it's just me telling the story that I wanted to tell. And if I need to edit in the moment, I'll be like, oh, well, rewind, or, I'll be clear about that. Like, oh, well, that situation went differently than I expected. And then I want it to be where the story unfolds as it goes. And I want to get good about that, because I really do love the idea of getting into, like, the D&D, or the tabletop RPG, like, game master world. And I want to find a way to do it myself, do it my way, and hopefully do it in a way that's engaging, again, for y'all. And then as I go, we'll adjust, and you can tell me, hey, ooh, that was silly, that was weird, or that was like a little bit too tedious. Yeah, I'll for sure. If I get long-winded like this, let me know. So this one's hitting 54 minutes. So I'll probably cut this off at an hour, just so it's a reasonable, clear time. So I've got about 5 more minutes before I'm gonna cut this video short. It's getting a bit that time of day anyway. I'll post these in a few minutes. I've never posted videos before, so this will be a new experience for me. So bear with me, unless you count that weird donut thing as a GIF. It's not really a video; it's a GIF, but still, whatever. See, I don't like to lie. But yeah, this will be my first time. These will be back-to-back videos, posted as soon as my internet will allow. I am Not sure how this is gonna do. I will say I do have a GoFundMe going. I'll just kind of briefly explain what I'm doing with my story right now, my life. So I'm selling this car, selling Bluey. I'm going to take what I get from this and get a car I can almost pay off. It'll be a kind of a cheaper car, but it'll be a reliable car. I will pack all the stuff that I can in the back. I'm gonna hit the road, like I said. I'm going to head towards DC. Ideally, that's the goal is DC. I'm either gonna go along places I've been before or go places I've not been before, and then eventually visit people I need to visit, like I've got grandparents in the South and stuff like that. I've got friends in like Missouri. I've got people around the world that right now mostly in those two places. I've got people around the country and around the world who I want to visit, and also just spots I want to visit too. So this will be like me going on an adventure that doesn't really have a bunch of specific goals. But right now, I'm heading towards DC because Cliff Cash, one of my new favorite comedians, he's up there with Josh Johnson right now. I've been watching them pretty much back to back. Cliff Cash is kind of organizing or partially organizing this veterans protest happening from the 14th, 15th, and 16th in DC. If I remember correctly, the 16th is going to be in front of the Heritage Foundation, where the people who planned and built the Project 2025 thing. So, like I said, I will get political on here. I will speak about religion and my spiritual beliefs and stuff like that, and the things I've uncovered about myself over the last few years. But I will be direct when those are the case. I won't do that every time. I'll sometimes just get on here to tell fun stories. But I also might play video games and do other fun things. I will, every once in a while, when I need to, say things like this. I'm going to DC to join this veterans protest. It's in front of the Heritage Foundation on the 16th of this month, and I'm going to be showing up in various parts of my uniform. That's what we're being asked to do. I have pieces of my uniform that don't have any personal identification or anything that could be cross a line of being a uniform. So you can't. I'm no longer serving, so I can't be in uniform. But I've taken anything that's going to be identifying other than towards myself off, and to be respectful. I'm doing it in a way that's legal, and also just considerate. I'm not an active duty member anymore, so I'm not going to be wearing that uniform as a direct representative. If I'm saying something that's personal, because I don't represent them anymore, I represent me, and I'm just telling people that I am a veteran, so my voice is affected by these things. And also, I have a perspective relevant to this situation. And so I'm a veteran joining this protest. I'm also autistic. I want to show people that neurodivergent people aren't part of the problem. Not the majority of us. The problem is that certain people will do things on stage that they will then later claim was misinterpreted or accidental, and we all saw what people have done. And I'm trying to get better at being more open with my voice, so I might not say it today, but you know what we're talking about. And like I said, I'm trying to be respectful and kind where I can, but some things aren't acceptable. And I want to show people that you can be on the spectrum or neurodivergent and never accidentally do that thing. So that's what I'm saying. I'm coming from this as a veteran, and I'm coming from this as an autistic person, and also as a person who's surrounded by both found family and given family of all walks of life. I have had so many people in my life from all walks of life make me who I am today. And that is both by watching them do things I wouldn't and being like, that is awesome, I'm so proud. Like, those are things that I can't do because they're better than me at it, or they're have a different perspective than I do, or just things that I wouldn't do but because I don't know how. And they're doing things that are awesome. All people of all walks of life are doing things that are awesome. Like, I love nerd stuff, so I'll talk about gadgets, I'll talk about technology, I'll talk about politics, and I just don't want people to think that you have like it's okay to like it's somehow gonna make it work. It makes it kind of insulting to me that a person might say, "Oh, don't worry, he's just neurodivergent. It's okay for him to do this." It's like, no, it's not okay for anybody to do that. Never in history has that been done in a way that's okay to do, except for maybe in a performance way, like if it's part of an exhibit of, it's representing an event. I mean, unfortunately, yeah, but to do it in a way that is accidental is what? No, it's it's done in a performative way. No, I don't. I've still no. Don't do it. Like you can just reference it. I've never understood why people have to be like, I can't not do that. I can't, like, they can't control their thoughts. It's like, no, you can control your thoughts. You can control your words. You can control your actions. You can decide that's the mean, cruel, unnecessary thing to do, say, or think. So why not just not do it? It's like the monkeys of see no evil, do no evil, hear no evil. Why not just not? Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't tune out what you have to hear, so just why not say or do evil? It's just the less you'd say and less you do that's evil, the less evil you'll hear. So be kind when you can, and be generous when you can. And if you can't, there's no shame in supporting your family or yourself. You don't have to be 100% selfless. You can be selfish. You have to choose yourself at the end of the day. They always say put your mask on before you put on your neighbors. You gotta choose yourself first before you can help somebody else. You can't save anybody else, not truly. They have to want to save themselves. We can help though. Everybody's on their own path, but you can help. And so I'm heading to DC to show people, I want to show people that I am a man of my word. I'm going to DC to do this. I'm going to stand with the people who know the same things that we all know and will say it loudly. That doing those things and saying those things are not okay. And I'm offended that you would say that you'd almost use my parts of my life as an excuse. Like, all my favorite people, a huge chunk of my favorite people in the world are veterans. And I know almost none of them would have, all my favorite people, none of them would have said any of those things or done that. No matter what political differences you may have, they would never cross those lines. And so, yeah, I'm not going to I'm not going to be cruel. I'm not going to be unkind if I don't have to be, and I'm not going to be dishonest. So I kind of went over my hour line, but like I said, this is kind of as things happen. I'm not going to overthink it too much. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm hopefully going to say something y'all enjoy, and I'm hopefully going to say something that makes a difference. And if worst case scenario, it's just you enjoy hearing it, then that's fine. But anyway, I hopefully hope that you have a better day. I'll try never to be cruel, like I said. I'll never be cruel. I'll try never to be unkind or impolite. But sometimes you gotta be. If people are crossing lines, you gotta be mean. Don't cross any lines. Like, never. Yeah, don't cross any lines. Keep it to words. Keep it to words, and it's a thing where it's just like, why cross, like it, but it's just, yeah, be as kind as you can in every situation. If the kind thing is to walk away, then walk away from a person so you don't do the unkind thing. But all I'm saying is I'm going to stand and join a veterans protest in DC on the 14th, 15th, and 16th of this month, and we are going to, at the end, at least be in front of the Heritage Foundation on the 16th. I will be standing as a veteran of the Air Force and an autistic veteran who is not okay with people trying to wash away people's actions by referencing something I know from experience as an autistic person on the spectrum that we don't get a pass on that too. Like, don't do that. Don't do that salute. It's just not cool. Even if it's, you can't claim that's an accident. We know, like, it's one of the things about neurodivergence that's pretty common. Not obviously you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, and it's the same with neurodivergence. It's a spectrum. I'm autistic and ADHD, so like it's even a spectrum in that. Like I have just so much overlap there, and so many different things that can like coalesce because of that. And I'll kind of unpack that as we go. But one of a very common kind of like through lines with autistic people, and even a lot of ADHD people, we're pretty self-aware, in the sense that we are aware of where we like interoception. Sometimes a lot of us don't have the best interoception, so that we don't always know when we're hungry. I've had that off and on throughout my life. I'm getting, it's a thing I'm learning to adjust to, for myself at least. And everybody's different. Every neurodivergent person is different. Every person is different, but especially within the neurodivergent spectrum, there's so many different types of overlapping, what they say, comorbidities. So for me, it's at least specifically ADHD and autism. Maybe some other things, lower below the surface than I'm aware of at the moment. I'll maybe unpack that as the years go on. But so I guess my phone's about to run out of space, so I will upload my first videos, so bear with me. I'm kind of blowing up my life right now in a fun way. I'm trying to do this responsibly and do this in a fun way. But I'm gonna go full nomad as much as possible. I'm gonna get on the road and start just traveling, seeing beautiful places, maybe get a dog, live on the road. And I'll do this. I have a GoFundMe. I'm not, no pressure to help. I'm just saying I do. And hopefully if I can get people to watch this stuff, I can kind of get enough to eventually upgrade a little bit of this. And then my goal is to maybe like make some stuff like I have a D&D thing I'm trying to work on right now, or like a tabletop RPG thing I'm working on. I have the idea of like maybe starting a podcast. Eventually it might just be this, but in a podcast form, where I'm basically just talking to the camera or talking to a microphone. In that case, I can do that while like I'm driving. That way I'm not like looking at a screen, and then it would be like kind of how it would be like basically I'd be talking on the radio and you'd be listening to me. That's basically how it would kind of feel. And eventually maybe people would join me, maybe do like a Zoom or like a remote podcasting stuff. But really it's not, I don't really have a specific plan in mind. I'm gonna head to DC for this protest, show people that there are people who care, who are veterans, and it's not okay to say, oh well, they're autistic, they get a pass on that. No, it's like, no, it's not cool. It's not cool for anybody. And so yeah, I just want to be that guy who's like, I'm honestly me, I'm direct, but I'm not cool with that. That's how it boils down. Thank you for listening. If you did, if no worries, have a good day. These are two fairly long videos, so I hear ya. Have a good day.